Ever pondered on the possibility of flying cars becoming a reality, or is it just a figment of sci-fi imagination? Let's take a moment to consider the concept of flying cars, a staple element in our futuristic fantasies. For decades, the notion of soaring above gridlocked traffic in our own personal flying vehicle has been a dream tantalizingly out of reach. It's a vision we've seen splashed across the silver screen and in the pages of comic books. From the jet-propelled, sleek vehicles in Blade Runner to the charmingly haphazard contraptions in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the idea of flying cars has been deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. They've become a symbol of a future unbound by terrestrial constraints, a world where technology has finally set us free from the shackles of gravity. But it's not just fiction and fantasy that has us dreaming of taking to the skies. There are countless companies and pioneers out there who have taken this dream and are striving to turn it into a reality. From tech titans like Uber and Google to ambitious startups and even aerospace giants like Airbus and Boeing, the race is on to develop a working, commercially viable flying car. And it's not just pie in the sky, we're talking real prototypes that have been successfully tested, with some even making limited flights. But with every leap forward, there are hurdles to overcome. How do we ensure the safety of these flying vehicles? How many can we realistically have in the sky before it becomes too congested? How do we regulate them, especially given that each country has its own airspace rules? And what about the environmental impact? Are we just swapping traffic jams for sky pollution? These are all valid questions that need to be addressed before our dream of a sky buzzing with flying cars can become a reality. And even though there are challenges, it's important to remember that every great innovation in history has faced its own set of obstacles. This brings us to the question, how close are we to making this dream a reality? The concept of flying cars is not as recent as you might think. The dream of a vehicle that could effortlessly transition between road and sky has been alive for well over a century. In the early 20th century, inventors and dreamers sketched designs of vehicles with wings, propellers, and even balloons. However, the technology of the time was not advanced enough to make these dreams a reality. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the landscape has significantly changed. With the advent of more sophisticated technology and materials, the dream of flying cars is not just a sketch on paper anymore. Companies like Terrafugia, Aeromobile, and PAL-V are some of the pioneers in this field, each with their own unique approach to the concept of a flying car. Terrafugia, for instance, is developing a car-plane hybrid called the Transition, designed to fit in a standard garage, be safe to fly, and easy to operate. Aeromobile, on the other hand, is focusing on luxury with their sleek, stylish flying car, designed to switch from road to air in just 3 minutes. PAL-V is taking a slightly different approach with their Liberty model. This vehicle is a gyrocopter, which means it operates more like a helicopter than a plane, offering a different flying experience. The progress these companies have made is not just limited to design. They've also made strides in dealing with regulatory hurdles. For example, Terrafugia's Transition has received special exemptions from the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in the United States. However, these companies are not without their challenges. High costs, safety concerns, and infrastructure needs are just a few of the hurdles they have to overcome. But with every passing year, these companies are getting closer to turning this age-old dream into a reality. The journey has been long and arduous, but the future of flying cars seems closer than ever. The sky may no longer be the limit, but rather a new frontier for our vehicles to explore. However, the path towards a future filled with flying cars is not without its hurdles. Let's take a moment to navigate these challenges, starting with safety concerns. Just as with road vehicles, the safety of flying cars is paramount. But in this case, the stakes are even higher. Imagine a mechanical failure at 4,000 feet. The consequences could be catastrophic. Developing foolproof safety systems for flying cars is a monumental task, requiring cutting-edge technology and rigorous testing. Next, consider the potential for increased air pollution. Flying cars won't just magically float in the sky, they'll need energy, and lots of it. Unless we can power them with renewable sources, we risk exacerbating global warming. The exhaust gases of thousands, perhaps millions of flying cars could significantly increase the carbon footprint. We must therefore find ways to minimize the environmental impact of these vehicles. Then there's the issue of noise pollution. Picture the buzz of a drone, now amplify that by a factor of 1,000. That's what our cities could sound like with a sky full of flying cars. It's a challenge that requires innovative solutions, such as developing quieter propulsion systems or implementing strict noise regulations. Now let's talk about traffic. We're all too familiar with gridlock on our roads. But what about sky traffic? Without proper traffic management systems in the sky, we could be swapping terrestrial traffic jams for aerial ones, not to mention the risk of mid-air collisions. This necessitates the development of advanced air traffic control systems, possibly involving artificial intelligence and machine learning. Regulation is another significant challenge. Implementing and enforcing rules for flying cars is no easy feat. Each country has its own airspace, governed by specific laws and regulations. Navigating this complex web of rules will be crucial for the successful integration of flying cars into our transportation system. International cooperation and harmonization of regulations will be key. There's also the question of infrastructure. We need to build vertical ports for takeoffs and landings, refueling stations, and maintenance facilities. And what about the power grid? Can it handle the increased demand from millions of flying cars? These are questions we must answer before flying cars can become a reality. Lastly, there's the cost. Developing, manufacturing, and maintaining flying cars won't come cheap, and the cost of using them could be prohibitive for many. Making flying cars affordable and accessible is a significant challenge that needs to be addressed. These challenges, while significant, are not insurmountable. The key is finding the right balance between innovation and sustainability. As we inch closer to a future with flying cars, we must ensure that this exciting technology benefits us all without compromising the health of our planet or the safety of its inhabitants. So, what does the future hold for flying cars? Well, the vision of a sky filled with personal aircraft is as compelling as it is complex. Picture this: a morning commute where you hop into your flying car, lift off from your suburban backyard, and whiz over traffic to land in the city center. Sounds like a breeze, doesn't it? But it's not just about the convenience. The potential impact on our environment is significant. The shift to flying cars could reduce the need for asphalt roads, freeing up land for green spaces and potentially lowering our carbon footprint. However, there are challenges. For instance, the energy consumption of flying cars is higher than that of electric cars, which could increase CO2 emissions, but solutions are in the pipeline, like the development of more energy-efficient flight technologies and the use of sustainable fuels. Safety is another critical aspect. The sky is vast but not unlimited. The more flying cars there are, the higher the risk of accidents. Yet this risk could be mitigated by implementing advanced traffic management systems and stringent safety regulations. Can you imagine an air traffic control system for flying cars? That's a future we might be looking at. And speaking of regulation, it's a whole new ball game. Each country has its own airspace, and navigating the legal and regulatory maze will be a challenge. But with global collaboration and standardization, it's a hurdle we can overcome. Then there's the question of accessibility. Flying cars won't be cheap initially, but as with any technology, prices should drop over time. The dream is for flying cars to be an affordable, accessible mode of transport for all. While the road, or rather the flight path to this future, is filled with turbulence, the industry is abuzz with innovation and determination. With advancements in technology and the collective will to solve these challenges, we're inching closer to this vision every day. While the timeline remains uncertain, the prospect of flying cars is more than just a pipe dream. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. The dream of flying cars has long been a staple of science fiction, yet it's a vision that continues to propel cutting-edge innovation. From the early conceptual designs to the latest prototypes, we've seen how this dream has evolved and taken flight. The journey, however, is not without its turbulence. We've delved into the challenges, from safety issues and air traffic management to environmental concerns and regulatory hurdles. Yet with every challenge comes an opportunity for a solution, and we've seen how emerging technologies and innovative thinking could help us navigate these obstacles. Looking ahead, the future of flying cars remains a thrilling uncertainty. Will they become an everyday reality, or will they persist as a tantalizing glimpse of what could be? Whether flying cars become a common sight in our lifetimes or remain a fascinating concept, one thing is clear: They represent a bold vision of the future that continues to inspire us.